Welcome to the Liberace Mansion.
Welcome to Under the Vegas Sun, looking at the people, the events, and the news surrounding Las Vegas and the entire Vegas Valley. Hello, I'm Steve Schorr. We are live from the Liberace Mansion. In today's world, probably one of the more critical things that can happen to us is you become ill, become sick, need a doctor. In today's world, that can be a very, very expensive situation. What about medical care today? What should we know? What should we be aware of? Our very special guest today on our program is the gentleman who is the actual chairman of the Medical Society here in the Las Vegas Valley. His insights, his beliefs, his knowledge about medicine can be helpful to all of us. You'll meet him in just a couple of seconds. Stay with us. We'll be right back. When was the last time you went to a doctor? When is the last time that you felt comfortable going to the doctor? When was the last time you asked the doctor the questions that needed to be answered? On a very special program today, a gentleman who is all of that and more, a doctor, not only a doctor, but a board-certified, wonderful plastic surgeon, and also the man who heads up the Clark County Medical Society. A very special guest, Dr. Jeffrey Roth. Welcome to our program.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
There is this thing that doctors have that makes some individuals fearful to ask the doctor a question. It is almost a power that doctors have over patients. In today's world, when medical care has become so expensive, to be honest with you, are we as patients asking enough questions?
Well, I think that patients have really been empowered. To speak to your point, yes, there's always a couple things. One, what does bring someone to the doctor? If it's not a regular checkup, fear. Fear brings people to the doctor. I'm not feeling well, what is it? There's this lump, what is it? Can it be really serious? So you always have that little element of fear, which is tough to fiat over. Next, the doctor walks in and he's in his white coat, et cetera, et cetera. Everything seems to be rushed, seems to be in a hurry nowadays. And so sometimes people will get intimidated or forget the things they want to say. In medical school, there is this thing called white coat hypertension, which is a real thing, inasmuch as they always tell you as a medical student is if you're going to put someone on high blood pressure medicine, check their blood pressure 3 times, not the medical doctor. Have a nurse do it or a tech do it or the orderly do it because when the doctor walks in the room, everybody's blood pressure goes up.
Everybody's.
10
I'm a quad A personality. Right. Well, yes. I go into a doctor's office and my blood pressure immediately goes up to here.
Yes. So, and now we sort of know that. Now, again, the pediatric guys and gals, they do a whole different thing. They never wear their white coats and they never wear ties because obviously with a 3-year-old, that's a handle around your neck. And then the nurses wear, Snoopy and that kind of stuff, scrubs. So you try to allay the fears as much as possible. And I think more that's coming from pediatrics into the adult place. However, people still get intimidated by docs and people forget to ask questions. And I think it's important to have that two-way communication. I think doctors need to listen to the patients and really see what's going on with them so they can make a proper diagnosis and treatment plan.
Okay, so I've got some tough questions for you. When I was a youngster, I honestly believed as a youngster that by the time I am at my age today, that some of the biggest problems in life, medicine-wise, would have been solved by now. Last year alone, there were 880,000 cases of heart attack, stroke, and similar situations. I would have thought that we'd have been down by now. The amount of cases that we have on cancer and cancerous situations for people, not going down, going up. What are we doing to ourselves?
Right, great question. Is basically, I think that it's multifactorial, and especially when you talk about cancers. Yes, we, medicine in general, and surgery and oncology in particular, are making great strides about the cancers that we know. Most of the cancer numbers are down year over year. However, some are remaining flat, and some actually are increasing. However, when you start looking at the multifactorial variables for cancer, genetics, what you eat, the air you breathe, the food that you eat, et cetera, et cetera.
The pressures of life.
The pressures of life. All of those things we are learning can change our genomes, can change the genes and turn on the cancer genes. So again, we fight on one end and we're knocking it down, and on the other end, we, especially as Americans, we eat the wrong food. We don't exercise like we're supposed to. We don't wear enough sunscreen. We don't protect ourselves enough. And again, over the long term, sometimes that will go ahead and increase things. So it's always a battle. And medicine is a funny profession in that every doctor wants to eliminate his or her job. So
really?
if we can
Dr.
wave a
Roth,
law,
wait a minute.
if we can wave a law, if we can wave a wand and all a disease disappears tomorrow, every single one of us would do it. Every single one of us would do it. I really believe that.
Okay, so
at least the doctors I know and the doctors that treat patients well and that are in it for the right reasons, yes. I mean, that's a bold statement, and you're going to call me on it, and I know you would, but the answer is yes. I would do it.
There is a lot of us. And I say us because I'm probably one of them.
Right.
But there's a lot of people out there that honestly believe that if the great pharmaceutical companies in this country wanted to find cures tomorrow for heart disease, for cancer, they could, but they're not going to shut off that spigot of money.
Well, that's a different story. I can't speak to the pharmaceutical companies, okay? And yes, you can go ahead and start looking and go, hey, wait a minute, there hasn't been a really good malaria drug out on the market, cheap enough that you can get it to Africa and you get it to Central America for 40 years. Why is that? Well, where's the money? Again, folks that have insurance have cancers. Folks with insurance have HIV. And now the antivirals are so much better than they ever were.
But there's not the outcry that there used to be. When polio hit this country, there was an outcry. There was an outcry. People wanted something done. You know what happened? They found something to do about it.
Right.
In today's medicine, we don't hear the outcry. I'm sorry, we don't hear the outcry for Alzheimer's disease. We don't hear the outcry for cancer, although American Cancer Society does a lot of things. We don't hear the outcry for heart disease, although there are a lot of people that do, but it's not a national outcry like it was for things that were affecting the children of our society when polio came through.
Well, yes, polio was so devastating, and these poor kids, they were on iron lungs basically the rest of their lives. They couldn't play. They were walking around on crutches, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that everybody was touched by that. Everybody knew a kid or knew a kid that knew a kid that had that. It was right there. And this was in a time in America where we didn't have social media. We had some broadcasting, but then it was radio, television. It was in its infancy. And you know this history much better than I ever will. But I think people were really touched by that and then looked towards doctors and medicine and pharma to do that. Now we can talk about the corporatization of medicine. We can talk about the corporatization of pharma and their corporations that want to make money, et cetera, et cetera. Now, some of them do great work and they do lots of millions of dollars worth of research and development, but most of them spend more money on advertising than they do on R&D.
But in the dollars and cents of being a doctor today,
yeah,
the number of single practicing physicians is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Organizations and groups are buying up this doc and this doc and this doc and this doc to make groups.
Yep.
What's happening to medicine?
Well, more and more folks are going that way. Now again, I've been told this many times, I'm a dinosaur.
You're a solo practicing physician.
I'm a solo practicing physician. I'm a dinosaur, okay? But because there's so many more onerous regulations on doctors, Dr. Dinosaurs, like myself, meaning if I wanted to go ahead and bill insurance or bill the government, Medicare, Medicaid, I would have to spend $80,000 on electronic health records just to type in things right and bill what I needed to bill. So a lot of guys and gals have to get together to try to absorb that cost because, 80 grand over 4 or 5 doctors as opposed to 1 doctor, that's a whole different story. The other thing too is, for me, I'm in the operating room 2, hopefully 3 days a week. Well, still my office has to run. I'm not physically there, so that's why people are sharing offices and sharing operating rooms to go ahead and make things work because of the pressures that are onerous. And by onerous pressures, I mean we have documentation now that we'd never had to do before. We had regulations that we didn't have to deal with before. And at the same time, the insurance companies and the and the government programs that fund Medicare, Medicaid, and pay docs keep ratcheting it down and ratcheting it down. So, and I'm not saying, poor me, et cetera, but a lot of these guys that want to take Medicaid patients, and they went into medicine for the right reason, you're getting paid 55 cents on your dollar cost, which means you see a Medicaid patient, and going to the room, you're losing 45 cents on a dollar on this one. But guess what? Guys do it and gals do it anyway because that's what they went into medicine for. And you talk to, on the other end, the corporations and the CEOs that are making millions of dollars and stuff, and there's a huge inequality there. And I think we're marching more towards inequality and less access.
The days of Dr. Kildare and Marcus Welby are gone. They're out the window. If you cannot afford a concierge doc, you're never going to have that type of care anymore. But in today's world, the amazing thing about digital today, it does give people opportunities that they didn't have before. Now, I know you. I know what you stand for, and I don't know if I would never call you a dinosaur because you're such a tremendous practicing physician. But you feel it. You sense it. I understand, and we're going to take a break for a couple of seconds. When we come back, I want to talk about this. But I understand that you're now going to start your own blog called Dr. Jeff Feeling Good, which I just think is just wonderful, to talk to people about bringing that mysterious veil down, helping them figure out what to do in today's world of medicine. And again, I think that's a tribute to who you are as an individual, but I think it's important for people to know that if they want to find out, there's ways to do it. We'll talk about that in just a couple of seconds, okay?
Terrific.
We'll be right back. And I think you're going to learn a couple of things, hopefully, about what you should know before you say, I'm going to go to the doctor. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hello, my name is Martin Ravenhill. I am the proprietor, owner of the Liberace Mansion, and I welcome you and invite you to explore all of the incredible features we have available at this historic house. Liberace lived here from 1974 until his death in 1987. Since then, I've been able to remodel and restore this house to its former glory. Here we have 15,000 square feet of amazing historic space available for weddings, ceremonies, corporate events, and charity fundraisers. The Liberace Mansion. There is no place like it in the world.
Medical care today. What should we know? What should we do? What should we listen to? Our very special guest again, Dr. Jeffrey Roth. Okay, I wrote down some stuff. Show you how important this business of medicine is. Today, medical expenditures each year, $3.2 trillion. Not billion.
The T. $
1 trillion with a T. Today's hospital expenditures, $1 trillion. Physicians and clinical care, $990 billion. It's big business. People need to know when they should? What is happening to them? Where is medicine going? You've kind of taken this now, taken the veil down, taken off the white coat, taken off the tie, and you're starting something called Dr. Jeff Feeling Good. Why?
Well, we're trying to break down and kind of demystify or de-white coat, if you will, what's really going on in medicine. Yes, it's a huge part of the GDP of any nation, but especially in the United States for a variety of reasons. One is there's the graying of America. All the baby boomers are getting older and older nowadays, et cetera, and they're going to be using more and more of that care. And we can argue, are they sicker or healthier? And in some pockets, both yes and no. But I think it's important that people arm themselves with knowledge, and there's so much on the internet now, but so much is good, but so much is really not. And sometimes you really do need to see a medical professional or a healthcare provider that has been through the ringer, has seen how appendicitis shows up 10 different ways. For example, appendicitis, it's not just, oh, you know, they came in and it went right over to McBurney's point and there it is, and we go to the operating room. Oftentimes it's insidious, it goes on for a couple of days, and the white count's sort of okay, and then they do the physical exam.
Has McBurney got a point someplace?
Yeah, right about here. Yeah, so I'll show you later. So yeah, 2/3 from the belly button to the,
okay.
Anyway, I'll show you. Lots of stuff. In any case, but there is some times that you actually have to go see a medical provider, but you want to be armed with a little bit of knowledge, but it has to be good knowledge. And again, in my world, plastic surgery, Instagram, right? So Instagram is big, and especially the young population loves it, and it's pictures, etc. But they did the study, the F.A.C.S did a study, I believe it was F.A.C.S, and of all the cosmetic surgery and Botox and fillers and everything else like that on Instagram, only 17% was posted by a board-certified plastic surgeon.
17?
17.
What's the rest posted by?
That's a good question. Okay, so again, are they qualified? Are they not qualified? Are they just pushing an agenda and people are glomming on and it looks legit, but it may not necessarily be legit, or it may be somebody that's pushing that.
So are you going to tell the real facts? I mean, if I were to say, okay, here we go, Dr. Jeff, tell me what, if cool sculpting, which is every commercial, I swear, is cool sculpting today. Tell me if cool sculpting is really worth anything. You're going to really honestly say
yes,
what it is?
Yes, I will. So, and I'll tell you this because, again, in my practice, again, everybody's different, and the guys and gals I know practice basically the way I do is I'm going to tell you the same advice that I'm going to give you my wife or my cousin or my brother. And if it's not the same advice, and if I wouldn't do the same surgery or put the same machine on you, then I'm a charlatan, okay? And I went to school way too long and trained way too hard and gave up the stuff you have to give up, and I'm not playing poor me. I knew it when I was coming in, and that's the deal you make when you show up to medical school, to go ahead and be a charlatan, okay? And that's just me. Now, some guys may be, and gals may be different, but I'm gonna give you the straight poop, or about breast dogs, or about machines, or that sort of thing, because I think people really need to know. And there's so much information out there, but it's hard for the average Joe or Jane to distinguish between the good stuff coming from medical doctors who don't have an agenda, and people who just want you to sell machines, or people that want to put the latest goop on you, but doesn't have a scientific background, or doesn't have a medical background, or doesn't have something that will go ahead and really make a actual difference and not worth your time and money.
You said it. You open the door. I'm going to walk right through it.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, good.
The latest goop that people are putting on their face. I mean, you can watch shopping channels today on TV. You can walk into any mall, any big box store that you want,
right?
And somebody's going to be there hawking this latest product. You can walk.
Every time.
Matter of fact, there's a casino in town that you can walk through that they're also in this casino hawking the latest goop to put on your face.
Right.
It all sounds great.
Oh, it sounds great. Yeah. So yeah.
How do you know?
That's the $64,000 question. Actually, that's the $2 billion question when it comes to pharmaceuticals and cosmeceuticals and all those things on there that are masquerading as medicine. And in fact, one of the major big box retailers got really slapped on the wrist by the FDA because they were saying you put this stuff on and it'll change your DNA.
What?
Exactly.
Come on.
Okay. But this is the big, big name, and actually the FDA had to get involved and went, fellas, okay, yeah, stop it, enough already. But it gets to that level that they make claim after claim after claim. And by the way, it gets to be white noise because everybody says, oh, it's the latest scoop, it's the latest thing, and oh, wait a minute, let me take this jar because this jar costs 3 times as much as this jar. It's got to be 3 times as good. Well, guess what? It ain't. Okay, so again, with me, I'm happy to go ahead and talk to anybody, whether it's you, my patient, these folks out here, about what's really sort of going on. And again, some people are very well intentioned, but they just may not have the knowledge base to go and really think and ask those questions and research things.
Okay, here, I'll play the devil's advocate. Okay, Dr. Jeff, is that what you're calling yourself, right?
Sure.
Dr. Jeff.
Hey you, Dr. Jeff, Jeffrey, sure,
Hey
whatever.
you,
Yeah.
all right.
All right.
Guy
in the white
Dr.
coat,
Jeff.
yes, okay.
So, Dr. Jeff, you're going to tell me about the goop that I'm putting on my face. Aren't you really just saying that I ought to come to Dr. Jeff to go see Dr. Jeff and get plastic surgery on my face?
Oh no, we turn people away from the practice all the time. We turn away about 10% of folks that come into the practice because one, if they're crazy, okay, that happens sometimes. But 2 is if the anatomy and the surgery don't mix, and if people have unrealistic expectations, or if you just can't get from point A to point B, we will tell them that. We talk people out of surgery all the time. They say, oh, I need this and this and this. Like, no, you just need a little bit of this and you'll be fine. And people are like shocked because they go to other folks who may be board certified plastic surgeons, may not be. They may be in Beverly Hills, they may be in Manhattan, they may be in Akron, Ohio, but they get the big upsell. And I think that we as physicians have to remember that it's really all about the patient. And again, what would I tell my wife? What would I tell my cousin? What would I tell my brother? And not get souped into all the hype that we sometimes, or like anyone, are susceptible to. So yeah, sometimes I'll go ahead and say, look, we usually do this, but frankly, for you, I would do X, Y, and Z. And you get that from the training at the county hospital. San Francisco General Hospital, guy falls down, breaks his jaw, et cetera, et cetera. He's a homeless guy, okay? So yeah, he doesn't need, the big fancy swishes and swizzles. So we tell him, look, go to McDonald's, ask for a bunch of salt packets, right? Go ahead and ask for a cup of water because McDonald's will give these guys a cup of water, right? Put the salt packets in the water, swish things out, and spit it in the curb, okay? That cost this guy $0, okay? But it's the right medical care, it's the right medical advice for him. And that's going to go ahead and keep the wounds clean, and he's going to be able to heal up his broken jaw.
Okay, but you are, quote unquote, head of the Clark County Medical Society.
Right.
You're responsible to a lot of docs in this community.
Right.
What are they going to say when they hear Dr. Jeff going, hey, wait a minute, before you can do that, this is what I want to do?
Right. The guys I know and gals I know, hopefully, will go ahead and say, yeah, no, that's the way I practice medicine. That's the way you should practice medicine. And I'm saying not perfect. I am not. And I don't run a perfect practice. I don't. And I'm not the best surgeon in the universe. I am not. But I'm going to do my level best to go ahead and treat the patient as if I would treat a family member. And I think that the folks that I know, and especially I've been blessed with the Clark County Medical Society, is I've interviewed a lot of folks, I've talked to a lot of folks, we have town hall meetings, we vent to each other, and sometimes it can be a knockdown, drag out. But at the end of the day, we all, the good ones, all concentrate on the patient. So yes, sometimes the goos are a little fancier or the swishes are a little fancier, okay, to a point, but by and large, the bottom line is how is the patient going to react to this?
I think it's pretty cool that that this board-certified plastic surgeon, who I will now call forever Dr. Jeff or you who or whatever, hey you,
hey, yeah, right.
or whatever, or you who knows what
Who
it
knows,
is going to talk to people. I think in today's world, the more we can lower that veil of secrecy and mystery when it comes to medicine, I think that's best for all of us. So I champion you. I congratulate you. And
I think it's not just medicine and interaction with the doctors, but it's also if you're a person that any lay person on the street is going to be challenged to try to navigate this whole labyrinth of medicine. You know, you fall down, you break your toe, and you wind up in the ER. Okay, well first, you know, did you take an ambulance to the ER? That's one interaction, and that's one company you got to deal with. And then you got to deal with the hospital bill, and then you got to deal with the emergency medicine physician. And then he gives you a referral to the orthopedic doctor to get that fixed. Oh, then he gives you a prescription to go and get some antibiotics and maybe some pain medicine. Now you're interacting with 6 or 7 different entities, all within medicine and pharmacy and emergency response. And it's hard to navigate that. And so hopefully we can break that down a little bit as well.
Break the veil. Doc, thanks very much for being on the program.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
I think it's, again, I thank you very much. I think it's a great idea. Bring that veil down. Show us, tell us what's really there. I think we'll all benefit from it. We'll have some closing words in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Frankie Shinta, downtown's king of entertainment. You're watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Schorr.
I think this whole idea about Dr. Jeff and his blog is a very, very interesting idea. I think the more that we know, the more we can learn about medicine, the better we will all be. Because in today's world, it is very, very important to know what's happening with you, how you're being treated, what should you and should you not do if indeed you do become ill. Hopefully this idea about performing for people and giving people the information might be the key for a lot of us. Until the next time, oh, by the way, don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, be a fan. We would really appreciate it. Until the next time, be safe and enjoy life under the Vegas sun.